Land back, Chief T. Land back,
Welcome back,
everyone.
Chief Sante. Good morning.
Good morning, y'all. Welcome to the Revolutionary BookTrap. You all know what time it is. It's time to get that political education. Today, we're going to be reading Inquilab, Bhagat Singh. Chief T, how are you doing this morning?
I am doing all right. I think all of us are like just a little bit like shaken because I heard from Chief Ojo that daylight savings time like switched over last night, and so I think everyone is still reeling from that. But I think that this political education is gonna just wake us all up. Bhagat Singh always like speaks in like this just like this amazing way to like inspire and empower like the youth. So I'm just ready for this morning. I'm ready for this PE, ready for this book trap.
Land back and welcome, everyone. Please hop on into this live. We're going to go start our Read That Backs and our we're gonna start our book trap really shortly. So hop on in the room, share this with your family, share this with your friends. We're gonna have a really great episode of the book trap where we're gonna be going over, the political leaders in India as well as the comrades of Bhagat Singh and how they fought for the freedom movement of India. So this is gonna be a really, really great revolutionary book trap. Land back, Chief Fatih. Land back, Abby.
Lamb back, Comrade Kolimot.
Land back, everyone. Land back, Charlotte. Yes, colonialism went too far now, period. Land back, Amoxley. Land back, y'all. All
Ooh, I
right.
love that hat that Amoxley is wearing.
Yes, that salmon pink hat come through Amoxley. Land back.
We love the gay cowboy vibes.
Yes, the gay cowboy vibes. Land back. All right. And as y'all know, we are, starting our revolutionary book trap. So start to share. This is a picture of Bhagat Singh. This is the picture of the book. It's Inquilab, which means revolution in Urdu. Inquilab Zindabad is the phrase that, we Indians say for liberating our country. But what do you think of this cover, Chief T? I love it.
Oh, Lamb back, Chief Mace, and Chrysanthema. Love seeing y'all here. I love the cover. I mean, the silhouette of Bhagat Singh is like a really like iconic picture. Like it is, carried at protests, painted as graffiti. Lamback Comrade Hammer Parker
Land back.
and Comrade T.
Land back, Comrade T.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like this really iconic picture. So it makes sense that the book like utilized it. Lamback Chief Oju. Um, and yeah, like literally just a few days ago, I was looking at this like protest that happened at one of the colleges at Delhi University, and like because they were protesting against the school administration, and they had like this like similar like silhouette of Bhagat Singh sprayed on like one pillar, and then on another it was like Ambedkar. And like these are like our revolutionary heroes. Like we see just like the outline of their faces, and we're like, I know who that is.
Land back.
Land back, Chief Ghazi.
Land back, CIC. All right, y'all. So, Hammer City. We're building Hammer City. It's a city for all people of color, all colonized people, no whites. To be free, no discrimination of nationality, gender, age, mental, physical differences, y'all. And this is a city where we will have no houselessness, no cops, no like rent, no coronavirus, and no white people, no colonizers, y'all. Most importantly, lay it back, y'all. So feel free to donate at our Cash App, at our Venmo, at Build Hammer City, and you can go to our GoFundMe as well at Build Hammer City. And we are building the first Hammer City on Turtle Island in the state of so-called Colorado. Chief T, tell us about Hammer City.
Land back, y'all. I hope y'all are not tired of me because I will keep doing this forever until I have my Hammer City. Um, yes, I'm here once again. Like, insert that Bernie meme once again asking for you to donate to Build Hammer City, hashtag Build Hammer City on Cash App, and then also GoFundMe.com/slash Build Hammer City. And we already got $10 from Chief Oju. Thank you so much. I know that Chief Oju wants to go to Hammer City, but do you want to go to Hammer City? Like, y'all watching this, you want to go to Hammer City? Because we're gonna need resources to get there. So please make sure that you are sharing this live stream. Ooh, $15 from Chrysanthema. Thank you so much, comrade. I know that Chrysanthema wants to go to Hammer City. Who else wants to go to Hammer City?
Oh, land back, Chian. Land back. Oh, land back, Comrade G. Okay, pledge $200. Yes, land back, Comrade G. You know what's up? Yes, donate those stimmy checks. If y'all have extra money to donate to help our revolutionaries pass out free masks, free food, free clothes to the community. This is what we do as an organization. Land back, Comrade Anjay. Land back, Chief Anjay got $10. Chief Anjay want to go to Hammer City, y'all.
Yeah, please make sure that you are sharing this on all your social medias, on Twitter, on WhatsApp, on Instagram, Facebook. Yes, Chief Ojo is already ahead of everyone else. Yeah, just as usual, share if you've shared this. Right, hashtag shared in the comments so that we can also know that you've shared. And yeah, like this is amazing political education. Bhagat Singh is an amazing revolutionary. And the things that we discuss here are just so important for the masses to learn. So yes, please share. And thank you, Chief Minister Scene, for those $5. I know that Minister Scene wants to get to Hammer City too. And yeah, like if you're unable to donate today, you can just like pledge some money, or you can also ask a colonizer for reparations. And yeah, you don't always have to like dip into your own pocket, because sometimes our pockets be empty. Sometimes you go in there and there's nothing. You turn the pocket inside out, there's nothing. That's the time when you go and ask your friends and family and the colonizers around you to send some money to Hammer City.
Period. Land back, Carmilla. Land back, Chief T. I so agree. Like we need to be, sharing this news to our family and our friends that need that hope that there is a world that we are building as revolutionaries where they can be themselves, where they can live for themselves and have dictatorship over their own lives, labor, land, and resources. Land back. All right. Do we got any more donations from the audience? If not, we're going to move it to our book trap trivia for this week. Land back, Hammer Parker, shared and sending $20. Land back, Comrade Kopeng. Yes, thank you so much, Land back, Comrade. All right, let's get started with this book trap trivia. I hope y'all have your answers ready. Land back, Comrade T, donating $25. Thank you so much, so much, Comrade T. You have no idea how much that means. Thank you so much. All right, so I'm gonna read this question. Bhagat Singh compares and contrasts two leaders. One is Subhash Chandra Bose, and the other is. All right, y'all. Let's see those answers in the comments. Let's see what y'all are thinking about. Who do you think it is? Naujawan Bharat Sabha, Jawaharlal Nehru, Nur Muhammad, Sachindra Nath Sanyal. Drop your answers in the comments, y'all. We'd love to hear what you think the answer is.
Yeah, this is our way of gauging, like, are y'all actually reading these books, or do you just show up, right? And yeah, it's a good way for you to also gauge, like, oh, like when you read, do you actually like intake information? And like this is just like a fun quiz, like it's not like our school quizzes or whatever. But yeah, who do you think it is? I want to see some answers coming in. Like, are y'all taking time to think, or are you now reading the book to figure out who we're talking about? Is it A? I don't know, Chief Oju.
Is it
And then B from Chief Tere. What do you think, Chief Sante? Who do you think it is?
All right. Well, It's either A or B, but the correct answer is B. Jawaharlal Nehru was the other leader that Bhagat Singh was comparing with, Subhash Chandra Bose, and we'll get more into that in our Read That Backs. Laying back. Oh, I love the comments, y'all. Make sure to be commenting, sharing on our Facebook Live. Laying back, Comrade Indu, thank you so much for donating $11 to build Hammer City towards our future. Laying back, thank you so much. All right, we're going to get right up into this Read That Backs, and we're going to actually be studying the two political leaders that Bhagat Singh was comparing. All right. So when that pulled up. All right. However, there are considerable differences between the views held by two leaders. This difference may have been detected in their speeches at Amritsar and Madras, but it became evident in the Bombay Conference. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was its chairman and Bose gave a speech there. He is an emotional Bengali. He began his speech by saying that India had a special message for the world and that India will educate the world. Then he says, like a romantic, look at the Taj Mahal in the full moon night and then think about the greatness of that heart which could conceive it. One Bengali novelist has written that it is the crystallized form of our tears. Even he suggests that we go back to the Vedas. In his speech at Pune on nationalism, he said that the internationalists claim that nationalism is a unifying ideal, but that it is a mistake. Hindustani nationalism is not such a thing. Neither is it centralizing, nor influenced by personal selfishness, and nor is it torturous because its motto is Satyam Shivam Sundaram, that is truthful, well-wishing, and beautiful. This is the same mysticism and sheer sentimentalism. Clearly, even he has a lot of belief in the ancient past. He believes in the greatness of that historic period. He thinks that the concept of Panchayati Raj is ancient. He claims that Panchayati Raj and self-governance is an old concept in Hindustan. Even communism is not a new thing for Hindustan, he says. Anyway, the main thing that he focused on that day was that Hindustan has a special message for the world. Land back. All right, that was such a powerful Read That Back. I'm thinking about the sentence that he did say, like, communism is not a new thing in Hindustan, and that this was something that our ancestors had practiced way before Karl Marx or Lenin or, any of those, white, quote, leftist revolutionaries of their time. They understood that, communism and this way of existence had existed way before, it was even theorized by those Western philosophers. But what did you think about this Read That Back, Chief T?
Len back, I don't know. Yeah, like I think that it is it's a really interesting Read That Back just because, and this whole chapter is just so interesting because both like Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose are really like prolific figures from the freedom struggle, and Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru went on to like lead the country after our freedom. So yeah, like they're just like really important, and they're very important to us, and it's it like it just kind of like like it reminds me that like all these revolutionaries, they were like existing at the same time and they were interacting with each other, and sometimes they had like conflicting views, and at the time that this was written, like these revolutionaries were also younger. Is that like we see, after Bhagat Singh's death, like after as the freedom struggle carries on, until 1947, and then afterwards, like these revolutionaries change. And one thing I can say for like Jawaharlal Nehru is that even though he might have started off as someone wanting revolution and all these things, he I don't think he held it up because, Congress as we know it today is a like liberal capitalist party that was responsible for much of like the neoliberalization that took place in the country, and they set up the stage for, the BJP to come in, and they like didn't they never really I would say they were never really able to like solve this problem of poverty or caste, but also, on a global scale, they acted like a sellout government by often like caving into the US, to US interests, even though like
Yes.
technically they were more of like a Soviet Union ally. Um, but yeah,
Yes.
it's a complicated history.
I definitely agree. And like reading through that chapter, it was kind of confusing to see like, okay, how did these leaders align politically, with all these other forces that were trying to exploit the masses of Indian people, right? Like Subhash Chandra Bose was talking about how our government does not need to be led by the West. He called the British, like foreigners and parasites to this land, and that we are from the East and we should have a government that represents us, right? And that was kind of his take. And then Nehru was more like, I think he wanted this revolt, this violent overthrow of this government, and establishing a new order of a system where like no one lives at the expense of another, but somehow was able to collaborate with the U.S. Against China, and then have all these like sellout moves towards the end of his like political. I mean, not towards the end, but during his political career, as he was like moving up the ladder, it just became easier for him to become a sellout. And I think it's really important that Bhagat Singh lays that out, because it's so important for us to always remember that like we have to center the masses in whatever we do, and that there is no true like socialist state if it is not a state that is made up of the poor and working class Indians. So that means that the Dalits, the Indians who sweep and mop the floors every single day, those are the ones who are the leaders of this revolutionary movement, right? And not these like politicians and leaders who come from like wealthy backgrounds, or from a upper caste like Bose was. But yeah, what did you think, Chief T?
No, I definitely unite with all of that. But enough about us. I also want to hear what the audience thought about this chapter and this comparison between Nehru and Bose. And yeah, please make sure to drop your own read that backs in the comments as Chief Oju reminds us. Um, yeah, because we want to see what stuck out to you. This is like a book club, so that means that it's not just me and Chief Sante contributing, but also everyone else. Your views, your opinions matter a lot here, so please make sure
Yes.
that you're sharing them with us in these comments.
Land back. I see we gotta read that back from Chief Shagun in the comments. All right. So there are many others among us who hide their lethargy under the garb of internationalism. Asked to serve their country, they reply, "Oh, sirs, we are cosmopolitans and believe in universal brotherhood. Let us not quarrel with the British. They are our brothers." A good idea, a beautiful phrase, but they miss its implication. The doctrine of universal brotherhood demands that the exploitation of man by man and nation by nation must be rendered impossible. Equal opportunity to all without any sort of distinction. But British rule in India is a direct negation of all of these, and we shall have nothing to do with it. Period. Lay him back. Yeah, Bhagat Singh just really lays it out there. Like, don't hide under this like lethargy, this laziness of like, oh, we're international now. We are like cooperating with these foreigners that are on our land and exploiting us and stealing our resources, but we are international, so we are cosmopolitans. But not realizing that this is a foreign parasite that is extracting and exploiting the resources and the land of India.
No, I definitely want to say that. I think it's like super relevant for today. Yes, Comrade Kathinson, sweet and simple, because in the leaders of India were recently in a conference with the Quad, which is a coalition of countries that consists of Japan, India, Australia, and the U.S. And it very much exists to contain China. And yeah, like I was just like reading this opinion piece that they wrote for the Washington Post a few days ago, and they were just like talking about, oh, like this is all about like internationalism and multilateralism, and we're working together. But then when you like when you read that opinion piece versus you see like what's actually happening in Asia, in Southeast Asia, like what, like the US is ramping up its military aggression, so is India, like against China. Japan is assisting, Australia is assisting, and now they have this like weird scheme of saying that okay, like China and Russia, like they did like way too good by like distributing all these vaccines for free, so we have to do it too. But they're like these are they're deciding to manufacture the Johnson and Johnson vaccine because it's like the most convenient for them to produce. And as we all know, Johnson and Johnson is this corporation that has been responsible for so much like hurt to colonized people, through their products, through their collaboration with like
Mhm.
this medical industrial complex. And like this is not like collaborating with international corporations and like collaborating with these sellout nations and these white supremacist nations is not internationalism. You are betraying your own people and your and the other colonized people around the world. Yeah, I really like this. Read that back. Oh my God, what was that? Thank you so much, Chief Shigun. Are there any, other read that backs we want to see, or are we moving on?
Land back. Oh, I just want to I do raise my eyebrows at those who are pressed to unite with the colonizer than their own colonized peers. Period, Comrade Kutunzin. Always unity with colonized people, no unity with the white whipping class. We understand that there is a difference, right? That there is no such thing as the working class of Europeans, but understanding that their wealth and their resources come from exploiting us. So, what do we have up next? We have our next read that backs, but before that, I just want to respond to what you said, Chief T, about like India collaborating with these powers like America and Japan in trying to contain China, right? And it's this movement to try and contain the international socialist movement that is growing and burgeoning
Mm-hmm.
around the world. And we are seeing now that these sellout neo-colonial leaders in Japan and in India, like Modi, are staunchly trying to prevent that from happening and from having the poor working class Indians gain power within, their own nation.
Yeah. No, I unite. All
Lame.
right, we have a second audience read that back from Chief Oju. All right, the task before the young is hard and their resources are scanty. A great many obstacles are likely to block their way, but the earnestness of the few who are sincere can overcome them all. The young must come forth. They must see the hard and difficult path that lies before them and the great tasks they have to perform. They must remember in the heart of hearts that success is but a chance, sacrifice a law. Lamb back. What a powerful read that back. I mean, one of the reasons why, I love Bhagat Singh and why his works are so important for me is like his call to action, for the youth. He's saying that like you are the future, right? Like that's what he's always trying to say. And that like as the youth, as the people who are most just like yeah, like we're young, we have the energy for it, so like why are we not moving forward? And yeah, like this revolution and like this fight against our oppressors, the colonialists and the imperialists, does require sacrifice on our part, which I think that Bhagat Singh just like does a really good chance of detail, like good he has a really good way of like detailing that. But yeah, what do you think, Chief Sante? And yeah, I guess like yeah, what do you think like about this focus on like young people and like how does that compare to Black Hammer and Black Hammer's political line? Lemback.
Yeah, land back. I definitely unite with what you said about the youth and how much love Bhagat Singh had for the youth and wanting to politicize to the youth that you are the future, you are the leaders of this revolution. And it ties so well with our political line in Black Hammer that, our fourth principle of unity states that the colonized, poor, and working class are the true proletariat, and we are the leaders of this revolution, right? Understanding as well that like the youth come from this like population where they are being exploited by the British colonial education system, just exploited in general because they have to work right after school. It's like it's a very different life than like most youth here in America, where like the youth in India, they have to work two jobs, at the age of 12 in order to still attend school and like get an education. And so and Bhagat Singh understood that the youth are the ones that are hardworking, the ones that toil under the sun, like, and are the ones that are producing and feeding the mouths of the British imperialists that demanded that these youth work for them. And I really love that quote that he said, success is a chance, but sacrifice is a law. And Bhagat Singh really understood the power and the meaning of self-sacrifice and selflessness and servitude to the masses of people. So yeah, this was a really powerful read that back. And back. All right. I think we have our next read that back. Chief T, I'm excited to see what you picked.
All right, let's go. First and foremost, I would like to say that no outside force is misguiding us. The youngsters are not speaking under anyone's influence. Instead, this is the feeling in the country itself. Lala Ji is a prominent person. He travels in first or second class. Does he know about those who travel in the third class? How would he know about the person who has to bear kicks in third class bogies? He passes through villages with his friends in motor cars. How is he going to know what ordeals thousands of people have to endure? Should we describe the conditions of thousands of famished Indians to the writer of Unhappy India? Is there any need for a foreigner to tell us to find a way to procure food when we are witness to crores of people toiling day in and day out and still unable to eat two square meals? We see farmers laboring all year through and yet eating frugal meals and remaining in debt. Won't we suffer then? Don't we feel like revolting? Even then, do we need someone to come and tell us to change the system? When we do see the hardworking dying of hunger and the idle enjoying luxuries, so does it not make us realize the flaws in our economic and social systems? When we see crimes increasing day by day and the condition of the public deteriorating, do we need outsiders to make us understand that a revolution is needed? Are we not enraged to see the plight of crores of people who are being segregated as untouchables? Crores of people can bring a lot of development in the world. They can do social service, but today we consider them a burden. Are movements not required just for their amelioration, to make them human beings in the real sense, and to improve their lot? Is it not required to bring them to that level where they can have food the way we have? Isn't a revolution in the social and economic system required to achieve this? Are the youth of Punjab and India incapable of feeling anything? Are they not alive? Is there no humanity in their hearts? If yes, then why is it that it is being said that they have been incited by foreigners? Yes, we accept that the Russian Revolution has presented an altogether new set of ideas to the world. We accept that the Russian thinkers have presented such thoughts to the world after lifelong suffering and sacrifice, which perhaps we ourselves cannot even envisage. Should they not be given due credit for that? Does a similarity in ideas amount to incitement? If so, then Lalaji has been incited by Mazzini to misguide the youth of the nation and to engage them in the service of the country. We must ask ourselves that in present times, should the world learn a lesson from the French Revolution and make it a principle, or should it learn from the Russian Revolution, which is full of new ideas in a new environment? Does Lalaji want a revolution against British rule and pass on the reins of the government to the hands of the rich, and let crores of people suffer under much worse conditions than they are living in now, and after a number of decades tread this path again and then fight against our own lords? It is sheer foolishness. Lalaji had raised his voice for the union of villages after listening to Das. Lalaji is not free to go to the villages. How could he know what is the opinion of the people? People ask, how are we benefited by Inquilab? Should we lose our food now when even after that revolution, um, people have to toil for a square meal and then the state machinery and the lords would oppress them? Why should we opt for such a predicament? Suppose a revolution does happen, then who should it be, according to Lalaji the ruler? Maharaja Vardhaman or Maharaja Patiala and the property holders? Are millions of American and French laborers not dying? Why should we land in trouble after knowing everything? Lalaji says that because of our communist ideas, the rich would align with the government. Very good. What party is he in? How many rich men have become revolutionaries? Those who fear losing their wealth due to the revolution, they become its opponents inevitably. In such a revolution, it is improper to abandon your principles for, for servility and thus harm your work. The rich should consider which situation favors them. The English will soon drain their wealth and transfer it to the hands of the rich in their own country. Thence, the rich of India will join the crores of laborers toiling today. They will see injustice in the social system. If they joined the communist revolution today, then it would surely put a check on unjustified luxuries. But they will be happy in the near future, when there will be a shared happiness in the world. But the workers' movement cannot stop for them, not even wait. The youngsters should not be afraid. In the beginning, there will be many difficulties, but those should be faced with courage. Lalaji and other such capitalistic leaders are leaving the field bit by bit, just the way there was Surendranath Banerjee, and now it is Sapru and Chintamani's turn. In the end, the labor movement will win. Hail communists, let the revolutionary caravan march on. Lamb back. I know that that was a mouthful, but I just thought that this whole like paragraph is just so important to the work that we're doing, to understanding the historical context of India, and the context that we're in today, because it is really similar. The questions that Bhagat Singh asked, that are we just like wanting this partial revolution so that the power can lie in the hands of these rulers and these property owners? And you know what? These leaders said, yes, that's what they want. They sold out the masses of Indians, and that's where we are today. Is that I recently learned that this billionaire in India called Gautam Adani, who funds the BJP, he made the highest money gains in the say space of this pandemic. That came from exploiting his own people, even more than Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. Like his what, like he earned so much money this past year when the masses of Indians have been pushed into more and more poverty. So many migrant workers died, and this is what they're doing. They would rather have their own luxuries, own their own property, and collaborate with these imperialists, rather than actually do what is needed, which is a full revolution, a true revolution, with the poor and working class colonized people in leadership. And I just thought that this paragraph is so important because it connects to principles of unity number 1 and 3 and 4, in my opinion, because it just also brings up this trope of like, how these people often say, oh, like you are being agitated by outsiders. Like in India right now, they say that the farmers are being paid. When every time there's like a movement in the US to bring power to colonized and African people, they say, oh, you're being funded by China, you're being funded by Russia. Are these conditions not bad enough for us, the colonized people, to see that we are suffering, our people are dying? Like they, in this way, like, they infantilize us, right? They think that we're, as usual, these colonizers think that we're incapable of, coming to our own conclusions after seeing our own conditions. And our conditions are terrible. You look around in the US, and our conditions are terrible. And I'm just like, how can you think it's an outside agitator? Like, Chief
Yeah.
Sante, like, what do you have to say about this?
Whew. Chief T, you really went in on this. Read that back. I just want to thank you so much for choosing that, because that was so important. Talking about revolutionary youth and the movement created by the youth in India. Like knowing and understanding that our plight and our suffering is not caused by ourselves, but by this like parasite again. And talking about like the British and Japanese like foreign rule of like over India and collaborating, on the exploitation of our own people. We see that like Bhagat Singh was saying, leaders of this movement aren't going to be showing up to your neighborhood in like this nice car, pulling up to their like homes and asking how they're doing, like asking for their trust in your leadership. while, seeing that they are suffering daily, not struggling to put, meals on our plates. Land back. Yeah, our conditions are terrible, and no outside instigator is needed to tell us that our people, our poor working class people, are dying every single day, and that a revolution needs to happen in order to overturn this contradiction. And I just want to say, like, one of the comments on Facebook, Chief Teray said that, sellouts know when their bread is buttered. Like, they will choose massa every time, period. Like, they will sell out they will sell out their own people. They will sell out, like, the thousands of Indians to the British in order to, gain that, that buttered bread. And they will live off of that.
Yeah.
And it's...
No,
Mhm.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but this just like reminded me of, that quote from, I think, like Asada Shakur, where she says, and I don't remember like the exact words, but it's something about, that you cannot, I guess, like, like you can't really like negotiate freedom with your oppressors. Like she says something on the lines of that, and it just really reminds me of the Indian context, because these people like Lalaji, he wanted to negotiate with the Britishers. That's why he didn't want a revolution, right? He wanted to have these peaceful talks so that so that he and the rest of like the Indian bourgeoisie and petty bourgeoisie can negotiate these things. And yeah, like it's not gonna happen. Did we gain our freedom that way? No, like we're still in the same situation, and once again we are revolting against our oppressors.
Yes, and it's all tying back to the movement that is happening in India today, where we see farmers, millions of farmers, the largest protest ever, the largest mass movement ever in the entire world in history is happening today. Like Comrade Femi says, it's so relevant to what is happening today because it is intrinsically tied to the struggle of poor working class people that are suffering and dying every day. And we are saying we can no longer take it. We can no longer take it. And we
No.
need a revolution.
All right. And I think that this is a great segue into our Hammer City fundraising call once again, is that, we just recognize that we cannot have the petty bourgeoisie, the bourgeoisie of our own nations, or these imperialists dictate what we do, right? We have to do it on our own terms, and we have to do it with a revolutionary mindset. And Hammer City is where the poor and working class people can have dictatorship over their land and their lives. This is a space that will be run by the indigenous people of Turtle Island. And y'all are already one to this, I know, because we already got $12 reparations from a European. Chief Yabe is so good at getting these reparations. Make sure to like follow their example and reach out to the colonizers, around you to get those reparations. Any more donations? Come on, y'all. Are you not like excited after, I read that paragraph? I pledged $10 from a colonizer. Yes, 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 Chief Sante. If you forgot to get it right now, you can just say I pledged $10, and then you can just win a colonizer and be like, give something to us. Show them all our really cool reparation core memes. I like
Yes.
crack up every time I see them. Chief,
Yeah.
I'm looking for about $10.
We gotta be asking these colonizers for reparations. Like you just reminded me about those memes that we have about colonizers paying reparations, and I was just cracking up because like just reading through what Bhagat Singh said, these colonizers owe it to colonized people to pay what they had stolen from us. Period. All right, Second Praxis got $5. Oh, Chief Shagun got $10. Thank you so much, Chief Shagun. Can't wait for Hammer City, y'all. We gotta be there yesterday. Period, Chief Amma.
No, yeah, because these conditions that Bhagat Singh, details in this book, like we see them here in the U.S., we see here, we see them in India, and yeah, like we have to move fast. How many more people have to die? Because I just like, yeah, like you cannot stand it. Like Bhagat Singh could not stand to see the people around him that were dying. And it is like incredibly painful that 100 years later, we're still there. So like we, as the young people of today, have to move. $10 from Comrade Colibri. Thank you so much. And $7 from Chief Kola. Thank you so much, Chief Kola. Thank you for everyone who keeps on donating. We really, really appreciate this. And, this is an investment into your own future, your children's future, your family's future. Comrade Marquise, waiting on my check to come, but I pledge to contribute to Hammer City and Black Hammer chapters soon. Yes!
Yes, we are, we have chapters all across the world. We international, y'all. So what our chapters do is we pass out free masks, free food, free clothes to the community because, unlike those politicians and leaders that Bhagat Singh was describing about, us as revolutionaries, we are going into our communities to poor working class, colonized communities in whichever, part of the world we are at, and we give them the resources that they need because we know that we need to meet our people where we are at. And it's so important for us to show that to the world that there is, there are people and leaders that will care for you and that will show you that your worth is worth living. Your life is worth living, and recognizing the humanity in that. And that's what I think when I hear of Hammer City, and it's regaining our humanity back because we are getting our land back, our lives, our labor, and our resources. Land back. All right, we got our next read that back by myself, and I'm excited to go into that. We also got $5 from Comrade Federico. Land back, Comrade Federico. Thank you so much for donating to Hammer City. We know how excited you are to get to Hammer City, so thank you so much. And remember to share with your family and friends if you haven't already. This is so important for us to spread to far and wide for our people. And yeah, we have raised in total $357, y'all. This is crazy. This is crazy.
That's like 3.5 times our goal.
That is amazing. Thank you so much, y'all. This is the best birthday gift I could ever ask. Land back. All right. I'm going to squint a little bit. If you could zoom in. But yeah, like the revolutionary movement in India is a huge thing to study, and like this really breaks it down into like pieces for you to understand. Because I remember going like to an Indian middle school and like having to learn about Indian history, and it was just very, very complicated. All right.
India it's a big place. It's a big place.
All right. Bhai Balmukund and Awad Bihari were both quite young when they gave their lives for the cause. They were from among you. You must try to become as sincere patriots and ardent lovers of liberty as they were. Do not lose patience and sense at one time and hope at another. Try to make stability and scroll in a little bit. And determination second nature to yourselves. Let young men think independently, calmly, serenely, and patiently. Let them adopt the cause of Indian independence as the sole aim of their lives. Let them stand on their own feet. They must organize themselves free from any influence and refuse to be exploited anymore by the hypocrites and insincere people who have nothing in common with them and who always desert the cause at the critical juncture. In all seriousness and sincerity, let them make the triple motto of service, suffering, sacrifice their sole guide. Let them remember that the making of a nation requires self-sacrifice of thousands of obscure men and women who care more for the idea of their country than for their own comfort and interest, than own lives and the lives of those who they love. Bande Mataram. Land back. Yeah, I love that read that back. Just hearing.
Wait a second. Is your birthday today?
It is. It is my birthday.
Why didn't you tell us earlier?
Well, just as Bhagat Singh was talking about, I'm just putting myself out of the center and putting the work forward, putting the revolution forward, and I'm here today to tell y'all. Yeah, it's my birthday, so if you wanna give me a gift, send a little something. Donate to Build Hammer City. Go to GoFundMe.com/BuildHammerCity, and that's my birthday gift right there. And you could say donating to Chief Sante for his birthday. Land back. But yeah, I wanna know what you thought of that. Read that back, Chief T.
No, I just think that this Read That Back is really good. Again, once again, a call to action for the youth of India. And, and since we're reading this in an international context, for the youth of the world, right? And then obviously, I also just want to add that, Principle of Unity number 2, Black Hammer doesn't just focus on the youth. We are for all ages. We serve people of all ages, and we encourage people of all ages to, pick up the mantle of revolution. Um, and yeah, but I just think that this Read That Back was so good. And yeah, like not letting yourself, Hammer Parker, service, wait, can you say that again? Service, suffering, sacrifice sounds like my military enlistment, Lamau.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that, at the end of the day, like, we are, as we're moving towards this like militancy and more discipline, we do have to think it that way. But I'd never think for even a moment that we are comparable to the US military or any of these colonial militaries that have like slaughtered millions of our people around the world and continue to do so. Uh, and yeah, like it's just like it's not the same. People will try to say that it's the same because you see people equating like people like they equate the like People's Liberation Army in China to the US Army and say, oh, like they're all imperialists, they're all bad. But there's a huge difference. We us as Hammers and like the PLA, they serve the people. Their first and foremost duty is to the masses of the people of their own nation, and that's what we're doing. And by saying that, by saying like service, what was it called, service, suffering, and sacrifice, we're saying that we will go to any length to serve our people, right? We're not just sitting comfortably in our in our armchairs and like saying, oh, like I want to do good for my people. We are actually doing good for the people. Our Hammers work day in and day out to serve the people, and we are committed to that cause. These imperialist nations and their armies are only committed to destruction and like ensuring the supremacy of their white nation over others. um
Period. And like,
Revolutionaries build, yes, land back.
and the act of self-sacrifice and selflessness and servitude, yeah, it's like militant too, because it requires discipline, right? It requires discipline of the mind, of ourselves as revolutionaries, that we have to always remember to center not our individual selves and our comfort. That's what Bhagat Singh was saying, right? Our own individual comfort and well-being is not important, that is not does not weigh more importance than the masses of colonized people in India that need liberation right now. And to put that in the center, and to not put your own individual comfort, in the center. And that's something that, revolutionaries practice. And it's an act of servitude. We have to be militant in our work. And often we have to sacrifice to live better than we've ever imagined. Period, Chief Oju. That's what we are doing right now, is we are sacrificing, our time, our effort, our work, our lives to build for a future where no one lives at the expense of another. We're building Hammer City, where there are going to be no cops, no rent, no coronavirus, no white people, no colonizers, no parasites on this land, because we are liberating it. And we will be under the governance of the poor working class indigenous siblings of Turtle Island, that will show us this is how we can live together peacefully and harmoniously, as different sects of colonized nations, and all of our differences that we have. And it's so important that you touched on the principle of unity number 2, Chief T, that we are all equal. Not just the youth can be revolutionary, but people of all ages, all colonized people are welcome and equal in the revolution, because we all have a part to play in this freedom movement. So I fully appreciate you reading that, Chief T. Oh, we got $10 pledge on behalf of Chief Stacks. Thank you so much, Chief Stacks. Land back. All right. Do we have any other donations in the comments? What's going on, y'all?
Yeah, what are y'all thinking? The comments been a little quiet. Like, what have you been thinking about the book?
All right, let's get this. Read that back from Charlotte. Page 34 to 35. Today, perhaps, Subhash is not giving us any food for thought. The need for the hour is that Punjabi youths should ponder over these revolutionary thoughts and make up their minds. Punjab needs food for thought, and this can be provided only by Pandit Nehru. This does not mean that we should be blind followers, but as far as views are concerned, it is time for Punjabi youths to follow him so that they may know the true meaning of Inquilab, the need for Inquilab in Hindustan, and I do we have the rest of the read that back? But yes, this is so powerful. It does not mean that we should be blind followers, but be a follower of your own liberation, right? You are your own leader. And yeah, the need for Inquilab in Hindustan and the place of Inquilab in the world. What Bhagat Singh wanted for the world was an international colonized proletariat revolution. Colonized people uniting under the banner of this colonial system that is genociding and killing our people every day, and that we have to turn against that and build a future for ourselves. What did
Yeah.
you think of that? Read that back.
No, I just, yeah, like really, like when he talks about blind faith, we see that today in a lot of people where we've been like conditioned to have blind faith in these colonial institutions, in these colonial leaders, and it's just not it. And I'm just thinking, if y'all read all the chapters that we assigned, chapter 9 is a really influential work of Bhagat Singh called like Why I Am an Atheist. And I think that whether you're an atheist or not, it's just like a really interesting piece of work, because he for himself really details how did he arrive to this conclusion.
Mhm.
And that's how we as revolutionaries should be. Like, we should always be sharpening our minds and using dialectical materialism and criticism, self-criticism, to dissect everything that's happening around us, just as Bhagat Singh did, right? And make sure that we are not blindly following what these imperialist medias are telling us, what these pseudo leaders are telling us.
Mhm.
As colonized people, as revolutionaries, we always have to keep our minds open. This is why political education is so important, because it helps us sharpen these skills, because they're not taught to us in these colonial institutions. They do not teach us to think critically. Loves Kimberly says Navajo Nation. Yes, 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 land back to the Navajo Nation. And yeah, like, I just really, that essay was really influential to me, when I was around like 19 or 20, just like trying to figure out what my own religious beliefs are. Oh, Chief J says he also specifies that Inquilab is secular, not atheist, an important distinction. Yes. Yeah, because Bhagat Singh was not trying to impose his atheism on other people. He was just trying to justify it. Why is it that because people were attacking him, because India is like a religious country, so people, they are taken aback when someone says that I'm an atheist. But as for Hammers, we unite under the second principle of unity, which says that all of our comrades are equal regardless of religion. And that also means that we respect our comrades who don't believe in religion, right, who are atheists,
Yeah.
just as we believe in comrades who are believing in a religion and do follow a religion. But yeah, I think that those critical thinking skills are just so important. Collaborative, sustained sacrifice is the new nuclear bomb in this world. Chief Stacks. Those are powerful words. But yeah, that is the power of colonized unity and our sacrifice. This is my first time attending a book trap, and I love how this is structured. Great work, y'all. Thank you, Comrade Mac. That means a lot to us, and I'm sure it means a lot to the Agitprop committee that organizes this book trap every week.
Land back, yes. And if you aren't a member already, Mag, you can sign up for Black Hammer today. You can go to blackhammer.org/join and get your freedom today. Just as we were talking about Bhagat Singh being a revolutionary, taking your life into your own hands, your freedom into your own hands. You can do that too by joining at blackhammer.org/join. All right, I think we have our next read that back from Chief T. Oh, I'm excited, Chief T. What else you got?
All right. While trying to solve the above problem that faces our country, we will also have to prepare the masses to fight the greater battle that lies before us. Our political struggle began just after the Great War of Independence of 1857. It has passed through different phases. Along with the advent of the 20th century, the British bureaucracy has adopted quite a new policy towards India. They are drawing our bourgeoisie and petty bourgeoisie.
Sorry,
Ooh,
yeah, it's a little bit hard to scroll through the PDF, so thank you all for your
I'll take a
patience.
second to drink some water.
Yes, stay hydrated.
Into their fold by adopting the policy of concessions. Their cause is being made common. The progressive investment of British capital in India will inevitably lead to that end. In the very near future, we will find that this class and their great leaders have thrown in their lot with the foreign rulers. Some roundtable conference or any such body will end in a compromise between the two. There will no more be lions and cubs. Even without any conciliation, the expected great war of the entire people will surely thin the ranks of the so-called champions of Indian independence. Lamb back. Yeah, I really liked this quote because once again, I think that this is linked to our third principle of unity, that all of our problems stem from the colonizers, like from colonialism, but then also neocolonialism, which is the I think a very dominant form of colonialism right now, where instead of like having direct presence of these foreign rulers in our country, we have our own people acting as their puppets, and we see that a lot today. And these puppets will try to negotiate some kind of a freedom, as if you can ever negotiate people as if you can ever negotiate with your oppressor. Like, what material interests did the British have then, or do they have now, to let go of this like horrifying system of colonialism and imperialism and genocide. And yeah, like we see that happening, right? Like after a few roundtable conferences, they have lost all sight of the masses, and they have sold out the country, the nation, the people, you know to this like petty bourgeoisie and bourgeoisie mindset. They'll be fine with some of the British like investing in their own like businesses and corporations, as we see in India today. um,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's just like we cannot let this happen.
No, no.
Sante, what do you think after reading this? Read that back.
Land back. Thank you for picking this. Read that back. I think it's really important what you touched on, like our third principle of unity, which is all the problems the colonized face are from colonialism and neocolonialism, like the puppets that are installed within our countries, like Obama, like Narendra Modi right now. All these sellouts that they are colonized, but their actions and their leadership is basically to exploit and sell out their own people, right? Um, Towards the interests of white power colonialism. And something that I was, really just thinking about with what he said in oh yeah, the petty bouge and the petty bourgeoisie, right? I mean, the bourgeoisie and the petty bourgeoisie are neo-colonial sellouts, right? And they have decided to sell their own people for the interests of this white power capitalist system. And it's something that is so evident, till today. It's something that we can still oh
Sorry, I dropped my water bottle.
you're fine. But yeah, it's an interesting piece that you chose. And I think, Indian independence against the British rule did ultimately come from like this neo-colonial style. Like our first prime minister was Jawaharlal Nehru. And Chiefty, you can tell us a little bit about like what his first prime minister rule was, and how that was for the Indian people. Period. Bhagat Singh's words, shaking things up in his house.
Yeah, no. And that's what we're doing today as Black Hammer too. Like, we're shaking up this house, we're shaking up this system
Right.
where our own people have become complacent in their oppression, right? Is that we think that these crumbs from the oppressor are somehow more worthy than freedom, like true freedom to dictatorship, the ability to live among your people in the best manner possible. And yeah, but speaking of Jawaharlal Nehru, I just like really do not like him. Like I mean, first of all, he is like the Indian National Congress is like today, if you look at it, it's like a really like dynastic and like nepotistic party where like every leader is just like the child of the previous leader, right?
Yeah.
And Jawaharlal Nehru's daughter was like Indira Gandhi, who committed some like heinous crimes against especially Sikh people, because it was like during her time that there was just like so much violence
Mhm.
incited against Sikh people. And there was just like like under Congress's rule, this party that was negotiating our freedom with the British but then also happened to lead our country. Um like we never became self-sufficient. We could never like achieve that dream of true freedom. And yeah, and also like Nehru collaborated with the US in the conflict that happened over Tibet and China, right? He let the US go to Tibet through the Himalayas, like offered the US assistance. And that to me is just like a horrible, horrible move. Like literally, like Nehru had met Mao, and these were people who could learn from each other because they were both leading nations that had been plundered for so long. But one of them did the right thing, and we respect him from that. Long, long live the Chinese Revolution and Chairman Mao. But one of them didn't, and that's disappointing to me. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I think that this has been a really good book drop, but we need to move on because our comrades need to go to outreach, and there's a lot to be done today. So let's move on to some announcements.
Yes, land back, Chief T. All right, so for our announcements, we have our blackhammer.org/reparations. If you a colonizer, sign up for our reparations core. It's every Sunday at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have our classes, and this week we are starting our boot camp for these colonizers. And out of this boot camp are gonna be these colonizer soldiers that are falling under the leadership of the poor working class colonized revolutionaries. So yeah, if you are a colonizer, send them this link, blackhammer.org. Oh, if you have a colonizer friend, send them this link, blackhammer.org/reparations. And always be getting these reparations from these colonizers to donate to Hammer City so that we can build a future for ourselves. Laying back. Oh, Comrade Federico says, happy birthday, an additional $15 from me. Thank you so much, Comrade Federico. Oh,
Yeah,
Chief
that's
Wallace
the
got
best
$10 on
gift.
me. Okay, all right. Just keep them donations coming in. We love this. Thank you so much for donating to your future and your freedom. We also have this event, our Forging the Hammer event, which is a members-only event, this coming Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Do you love Forging the Hammers? Don't you love Forging the Hammers, Chief T?
I love forging the hammers. I still remember my first forging the hammer so vividly. Like it is, yeah, like every forging the hammer that I go to, I just remember it so vividly because it's like 2 to 3 hours of just like being able to debate these like amazing ideas and really like being surrounded by like colonized brilliance, because our comrades are such like amazing revolutionary like thinkers and theorists. And that really comes through in these forging the hammer sessions. So please, please, please be there. If you want to be there but you can't, you know what to do. Go on blackhammer.org/join so that you can be at this forging the hammer. I promise you, if this is the only thing you want to join Black Hammer for, then you can do that too, because this is just like 2 to 3 hours of some like amazingness. It's led by the agitprop committee, like, and they just do an amazing job every time. Salute to you, Chief Sante, and all the comrades under your leadership. But yeah, do we have any more announcements?
Back. All right. Yes. And for next week, make sure to tune in for another episode of the Revolutionary Book Trap. We'll be reading chapters 10 to 16 with myself and, of course, Chief T. We will be here next week. So make sure to tune in and bring those read that backs and have some amazing political education discussions. And I want to say how much we've raised in total, because we've just been getting so much love from our supporters and from our comrades. So in total, we had raised $392 towards Hammer City.
What? That's amazing. That is so good. Isn't that the best birthday gift ever?
Best birthday gift ever. Thank you, TT. I am so happy that everyone has, decided to donate towards Hammer City. Thank you so much. Every single dollar is going towards, feeding our people, towards actually moving this anti-colonial struggle forward. And I love Sunday mornings too. Thank you so much, Chief Crisantema. This is an amazing book trap as well. Oh, thank you so much, Comrade Colibri. Y'all are amazing hosts. Yes, Chief T, you did amazing today. I just want to say shout out to you for really laying out and breaking down that political line for us and the movement in India and the history of our country. And we're going to get free. We're going to get our country free.
Yes. 8 more from a colonizer. Thank you, Chief Yabe. You always come through with these reparations. You have to share your strategy with everyone. Everyone should be getting reparations like this. But yeah, I also just want to say thank you so much for everyone who was here. Even if you missed this, you can always go back and watch it because it's recorded. And yeah, we will see you again next week. Lamb back.
Lamb back.